Dylan Rosenboom, 231749, and Mr. Serrano.
Your Honor, Richard T. Serrano, P33828, appearing on behalf of Mr. Rosenboom, so I thought I was going to.
All right, and Mr. Rosenboom is not present, and counsel.
Your Honor, this morning, like any of the other cases that I scheduled, I met with Mr. Rosenboom. At first, he appeared fine, and then as we talked more and more, he looked like he was in another world somewhere. And I asked him, "Are you ill?" He said, "No, I'm battling a cold." I said, "But I'm okay." And so I said, "Okay," explained to him what was happening today, and that then the court took its break to attend the webinar, and I noticed Mr. Rosenboom was standing outside in the cold, jacket. So then eventually he came back in and looked like he was nodding out, so to speak. And when I looked for him again, I was told by the court officer that he was now in hospital due to a hospital drug overdose. And even further. The tragic thing about it, Your Honor, I was prepared to go on the record today and report how well he was doing, and his jail review was to be continued in the recommendation of probation. I'll think now.
All right, well, here's what the court's going to do. Mr. Rosenboom was here, and then he left before the court had contacted him, and so the court will give Mr. Rosenboom one week to appear here. So counsel, if you want to have some communication with him between now and next week, the court's going to adjourn it 1 week to December 12th.
So no warrant issued as
I'm not issuing a warrant as he was here.
Okay.
Now that doesn't mean that there won't be some other happenings going on with the jail review, but as of right now, the court's not issuing a warrant. We will adjourn to December 12th at 9 a.m.
Your Honor, could I possibly expect the file to make sure I have the correct contact information?
Yes, when we're done, when we're done with the in custody.
Will you hand me my spitting box?
All right, let's go on the record in the matter of Stephen Strickland, 211541 and 221669.
Your Honor, may it please court, Richard T. Serrano, P33828, on behalf of with my client, Mr. Strickland, who's presently in custody.
All right, and your name, sir?
Oh, Stephen Strickland.
All right, well, Mr. Strickland is on probation with this court. All right, well, Mr. Strickland is on probation with this court for operating with a high BAC. And also for public intoxication on 221669. And so let's just, well, actually, he's on probation on the 1669 matter. This court sentenced him to 60 days jail, suspended with jail review. Jail review, and that was on October of 2022. Jail review is held November 21st, 2022, and then adjourned to March 30th of 20, I said 22, I wrote it wrong, it's 23. And he failed to appear on that date. Then we set it for April 27th, failed to appear, set it, and then we issued a warrant. And then at some point he must have contacted the court, because then we put it back on the docket and he failed to attend again on July 24th. And this court issued a warrant on October 10th, or August 10th. On 211541 matter, it's alleged that Mr. Strickland submitted a diluted drug test on January 26th, failed to make up the test on February 2nd, failed to appear for a drug test on February 8th, and I believe he's just been absconding ever since. And so, counsel, what's happening today?
Your Honor, my client television, he turned himself in last night. And
Turned himself in?
that's what I believe he told me. Is that correct? Strickland?
Yes. Yes.
All right. And Your Honor, today we went over what was going to happen today. The probation department has recommended some significant jail time. My client understands that. We hope the court would consider the credit that he's claimed he has 6 days credit if the court's disposed to send him to jail. Your Honor, if he were tested today, I asked him, he said there'd probably be marijuana in his system. Your Honor, he's single, he supports 2 children, ages 7 and 1. He works at Karaoke Concrete. Your Honor, he now goes to the guidance center voluntarily for treatment as well as teen wellness. So on one hand, he looks like he's doing the right things in order to maintain sobriety and to abide by this court's order. But sometimes his actions, as the court has stated, he's willing to plead guilty that he did in fact fail to timely test as ordered by this court. So he's, quite frankly, told me he's tired of it and he just wants to have an end of it. And hopefully he's doing well at the guidance center and teen wellness. He wants to continue that treatment. So I'm asking for consider maybe some more intensive outpatient treatment, Your Honor, that the court could order in lieu of jail, because he's not going to get the treatment that he needs sitting in Wayne County Jail, other than separation from drugs or alcohol.
Okay, I'm sorry. So, sir, you turned yourself in.
Yes. I called up here and I had officers come to my house to pick me up on my warrants.
Okay, but that doesn't seem to be how they picked you up.
That's exactly how they picked me up. They picked me up in my dad's garage. I called and told them I had warrants and everything else. I wanted to get this over and done with. I wanted to beg for the court's mercy and say and hope for a reinstatement, because I've seen the error of my ways and I'm tired of looking over my shoulders. And I'm more than apologetic. I realized where I was doing wrong, and I'm trying to work on that in my life myself. And I was just hoping for some type of grace or leniency before the holidays and everything, so I can get rid of this, get where I don't have a warrant out, still see my kids for Christmas, and then if need be, I can argue with their mother in child support court and stuff. So because she's trying to take them away from me and she's mad at me. I messed up and I relapsed a while back, and she just never let me go after that. And so I have my own issues, and I'm trying to be the better person, and I'm trying to right my wrongs, and I would do anything to get my probation reinstated and give you and just have one more chance to show you that I can do right.
Sir, let me just say this, right? You are already on probation with this court. And then while you were on probation with this court, you picked up a charge for assault, battery, and resisting obstructing an officer. So on that matter, you had a jail review. I didn't send you right to jail. Although on your probation violation, prior to this offense, the court sentenced you to 5 days jail and 45 days on the tether. And so now we have not only your jail review, but but your probation. And so quite frankly, I don't know that you're.
I know it's a long shot, yeah.
Sir, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear from the testimony about to give this man to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor,
And
excuse me, could he move over a little bit? I can barely see him.
what's that?
Could he move over to his right a little bit? I can see him a little bit better now.
Okay.
Yeah,
There you
there you
go.
go.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think that's just the way that the screen is. I'm not sure, but all right. So, sir, you heard the allegations for your probation violation, correct?
Yes.
As to those allegations, how do you plead, sir?
Guilty.
I'm sorry.
Guilty.
And you've gone over your advice and rights for probation violation purposes, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And you understand all of those rights.
Yes.
You also understand that by entering into plea, you'll be waiving some of those rights, specifically your right to a contested hearing.
Yes.
And
I'm just scared.
you also understand the possible penalty as a result of your plea.
I know, and that's why I ran, because I was scared, because I knew about the time.
Hold on,
You know.
hold on, sir. Hold on. First, I need to establish a factual basis here. And so, and sir, you understand that the recommendation in this matter is for you to serve 60 days jail, revoke probation, pay a $50 probation violation fee. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And knowing all that, do you still want to continue with your plea?
Yes.
Has anybody promised you anything, threatened you, or coerced you in any way for you to enter into a plea?
No.
All right, and counsel, if you can please pardon your client.
Mr. Strickland, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, sir.
You heard the allegations you're pleading guilty to on January 26th, February 2nd, and February 8th. Did you disobey this court's order while being on probation by, on January 26th, providing a diluted sample, and then February 2nd and February 8th of 2023, not appearing for scheduled drug tests as ordered by this court? You admit guilty of that?
Yes, I did.
That's fine.
I apologize.
The court is also satisfied the plea is knowing, voluntary, and factually accurate. The court will accept your plea. The probation violation indicate technical violation number 4 will enter. And counsel, ask the recommendation.
Your Honor, as I stated, Mr. Strickland has the right ideas in mind. I think, like so many of the clients that I represent and so many that this court sees, that they take it upon themselves when something doesn't go right in their lives to self-medicate. And in this case, it's contrary to the court's orders to fail the test, knowing he's going to test dirty, and just not showing up or trying to dilute the test. That doesn't work these days. It doesn't help the problem. So on one hand, he's saying he wants to get treatment, continue at the guidance center, continue at team wellness, and then he does things like this. So I just submit to the court, Your Honor, he's not going to get the treatment that he needs incarcerated. I understand that the sentencing for any purpose is twofold, rehabilitative as well as punitive. We'd ask the court to concentrate more on the rehabilitative aspect, albeit the 4th violation. To hear what my client said, he did turn himself in, Your Honor. That's a manifestation of someone that needs help. So we ask the court to consider that in fashion the sentence.
Well, he's also, how many days credit?
He tells me 6 to 7 days credit, he believes, but I don't know where to verify that.
There's not any credit for that. I mean, he served if he's counting the 5 days jail, he served as a probation violation back in September 22. There's no credit for that. No. And he's been in jail to 1 day. But there's also, he's also under investigation from Southgate for the alleged for the incident that occurred right before he decided to turn himself into the police.
I didn't do anything there.
Don't say anything about
I
that.
didn't say you did anything. I said that you're under investigation for that. And the court is all about helping individuals if they want help. Mr. Strickland has had the opportunity for help available to him and had rehabilitative conditions available to him that he chose not to use. He chose not to use them. In addition, this court, while your client was already on probation, your client committed another crime, pled on another crime, and this court issued a jail review. And then after just a short while, your client just absconded. Didn't contact the probation officer, didn't do anything. Nothing.
I was scared because I knew I had the jail time to do. I mean, nobody wants to. I'm going to lose my car. I'm going to lose all my personal belongings. I'm going to lose everything because I have no way to keep them or nowhere to put them. But I have to have this warrant taken care of so that I'm better able to be a different person. So, I mean, there's a lot going on. It's not that I just wanted to disrespect you or the court in any manner. It's the fact that I was scared to go do that time. I mean, it's an honest human response to it. And I knew I messed up. I drank too much coffee when my son had a surgery that morning. So it said my pee was diluted. But I didn't do anything wrong there. And then I was scared to come in for my violation.
So,
And, so I would have had 2 days though credit if you are going that route. 2 days credit when I first got arrested, and then I'd have 2 more days for yesterday and today for now, and for when I bonded out. I sat another 2 days. That was the most recent one in the summer. I got pulled over for jaywalking and bonded out, and I was still scared to show back up. So I apologize. I really do. I didn't mean to disrespect no one or do it. I know what I'm looking at.
I'm sorry, what's that?
No, nothing, Your Honor. I know I done wrong, and I know I don't deserve another chance. And I'm just asking, if anything, not even 60 days. 60 days is so long. I'm going to lose everything. If it has to be jail time, can we do something a little more reasonable? Maybe like 30 or something. 60 days is just so long.
Listen, this is not a negotiation. That's not what this is. That's not what this is. Quite frankly, sir, you're looking at 180 days.
Looking at 180 days?
If this
Oh
court,
my God. I thought I was doing 60.
sir, I'm trying to tell you that you have 90 days is the maximum penalty for conviction on one, and same with the other. If this court wanted to order consecutive sentences, it could. That's where the 180 days comes in. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Please don't do that to me.
Sir, you're asking this court for consideration, and this court asked you for consideration and adherence to its orders, and you didn't do that.
I knew I messed up once I had that violation, and I could not make it from work to drop that one time. So I had no card.
So just ignore everything, right?
No, I ran. I was scared. I'm sorry. I told you. I was scared.
Sir, so what was the, excuse me,
Answer.
what was the catalyst event that would, that you decided, today's the day I'm going to turn myself in? And you called the police, or had your dad called the police?
The catalyst event was that I had my wife or fiance or whatever, we were not on good terms. I had her tell me that I'm not allowed to see my kids or anything, and she wasn't going to let me around them, and so I had to take and fight her in child support court, and so I can't do that with a warrant. And I need to take care of my kids. I needed to handle this. I've been looking over my shoulder for too long. I didn't want to do anything wrong. That's.
Well, sir, perhaps you can't see your children because of your alcohol issues.
That's what I've been working on it and seeking substance abuse on my own. Or substance abuse therapy on my own, and regular therapy and psychiatry. I've been trying to do what I need to do. It's when you have that kind of sentence hanging over your head. It's not good for your mental health either. Just because knowing that I have that. And so it's been a daily battle. I've known I had to take care of this. I didn't want to just be driving down the street one day and, get pulled over and, I wanted to hopefully get a second shot at this. A third shot. I know I've messed up, and it doesn't look like it's like you're going to let me, but I mean, that's just begging for it, or begging for leniency of some sort. I know I messed up, and I've learned my lesson, and I've seen the error of my ways. I don't like alcohol anymore. I'm begging for your help, begging the court's help, and let me have one more chance, please. You won't see me in here again until it's time to get off probation. I'll do everything I'm supposed to. I promise. Otherwise, you can give me the whole time. I swear to God, I'll do everything I'm supposed to.
Sir, okay. I want to ask this question. I want 100% honesty because I'm not getting it. You're telling this court that you contacted the Wyandotte Police Department for them to come pick you up?
Yes.
Okay. So when the officers got there, what did you say to them?
Well, I told them about the day before that when my girlfriend my children's mother stole my debit card. And so I was making a report about that, but I also told them that I had my warrants.
Hold on, sir, hold on. So, right, there wasn't anything in the police report that stated that Stephen Strickland contacted the Wyandotte Police Department to turn himself in on warrants. That is not in the report.
But that's what I called and that's what I said on the phone.
Sir, you called because you wanted to make a police report. Then, before the officers could meet with you, Southgate Police Department was dispatched to down over Coney Island regarding a threat that was made allegedly by you. And then, once the officers ran your name, then there were multiple warrants noted for your arrest. So then Southgate requested you be secured so they could conduct their investigation. It does not appear at all that you contacted the Wyandotte Police Department specifically for turning yourself in. That is not what occurred.
It was for both things. And I called the night before also and tried to get an officer and they told me no.
Well, sir, once again, you're not being honest and you're begging this court to believe you with what you're saying. And just so we're clear, I don't believe you at all, other than you want to see your kids. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the opportunity to reflect on your actions as to how you can go about being reunified with your kids. And that can occur while you're sitting in jail for your 60 days. The court's going to revoke probation, close the case without improvement, $50 probation violation fee, 60 days jail starting today. And these sentences will be concurrent.
Any at all?
So I got 120 days or 60?
On 2/1669, your client has 2 days credit. That's it.
Thank you, Your Honor. And answer his question, Your Honor, you said concurrent, correct?
Concurrent, which means at the same time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do I get 2 days for credit for the yesterday and the day too, or? All right, never mind. Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Have a good day. So we are going on the record in the matter of Matthew Sneed, 23270.
Right here, Your Honor.
Hi, and good morning. All right, just please remember me. Thank you. Okay, and counsel, your appearance for the record, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney Thomas Courts P 77177 appearing on behalf of the defendant who stands to my left. Please state your name for the record, please.
Matthew Sneed.
Okay. All right, and so today is the date that we adjourned this to because the court wanted to hear from Mr. Steve Barber.
Yes, Your Honor, and it's my understanding that the barber is in the court. Mr. Werner is present if you'd like to take the stand.
Yes, please. Well, he can just, I mean, he can just, yeah, he doesn't have to go all the way on the witness stand, so. Good morning. Okay, and your name, please.
Teron Bonner.
Can you please spell your first and last name? And I need you to speak directly into the microphone because I'm, my court recorder is recording remotely today.
Yep, Teron Bonner, T-E-R-O-N, B as in Victor, A-R-N-E-R.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Barner, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear from the testimony about to give this matter the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. And so, counsel, did you want to ask questions or would you like me to ask the questions first?
I have no preference, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Barner, what is your occupation?
I am a travel barber. I didn't get any other jobs, so just that.
With the only job you said?
Oh, no, I'm a travel barber. I also am the pastoral assistant at Christ the King Catholic Church, and I teach social emotional learning on Mondays at Christ the King School.
Okay. And how long have you been a traveling barber?
This will be going into my 5th year.
Okay. And so you know Mr. Sneed?
Yes.
And how long have you, and how do you know Mr. Sneed?
I have been his barber for about 2 years through another client who referred him to me. So about 2 years now.
Okay. And so, before you testify today, did you go over your testimony with anybody?
No.
Okay. Did you talk about why you're here?
I was asked that I needed to be here. That's about it.
Okay. Did anybody tell you what you would be testifying to or why you would be testifying?
In reference to using certain products on a client, and he just needed me to verify that I did use the products on him. That's why he asked me to come forward.
Okay. And so how often do you cut Mr. Sneed's hair?
Usually it's every 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. And so when was the last time that you cut Mr. Sneed's hair?
I believe it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
He looks like he might be due for a trim.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that because I definitely was looking. Always a barber.
Okay, so 2 or 3 weeks ago. Okay, and so where did you go for his haircut?
So by me being a travel barber, I always go to people's houses. I usually don't like to cut out of my house, but I go directly to their house.
Okay, and who was there at the house with him? Anybody?
There was another client, and I believe his cousin. I cannot remember her name.
Okay. All right. And do you recall what time you were there?
It had to be anywhere between 6 p.m. and 10.
Okay. And why do you say those hours?
Usually because it's a later appointment. Sometimes when I schedule appointments, like if I schedule at 8 o'clock, I usually do it so it's easier because I do everything through an app. So just in case I'm overtime, I usually give like a time window.
Okay. Do you recall the date that you were at Mr. Sneed's house?
I do not.
Okay. Do you recall what day of the week?
I believe that's how many haircuts I do. I want to say it was later in the week.
Okay.
And I know that it was at night because it was a fill-in appointment. Because I originally didn't have the appointment available, but somebody canceled.
Okay. And so do you go to Mr. Sneed's house every 2 or 3 weeks?
Yes.
Okay. And you've been doing that for 2 years?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, at first it was at a different location. He recently moved and that's where I cut him now.
Okay. And when you, and this may sound silly, but I'm going to ask you some detail about the haircut. So walk me through your haircut with Mr. Sneed.
Yep. So whenever I start a haircut, obviously I set up there. I come with a chair, a table, and all of my equipment. So hence the travel barber name. Sit down for him. I usually do a full round fade, and then I do beard. So I make my own kind of hair care products. So I use all my own stuff. At the end of each haircut, I always use disinfectant because I've never been the type of person who to give people bumps. It's like a barbarous death sentence giving somebody bumps. So yeah, it usually goes to the fade, then it goes, well, no, it goes to the shave, the fade, any clippings on the top, then I do the beard, trim down the beard, blow dry, and then I always finish with the disinfectant. My disinfectant that I use is anywhere from 90 to 99% alcohol, and then aftershave. Because using Pinnacles or Clubman's aftershave, the whole bottle is a little more expensive than buying 99% alcohol. So I always mix them. It's usually anywhere from 3/4 to 1/4 Clubman aftershave.
Clubman?
Yeah, it's called Clubman.
CLUBMIN? Okay,
M-A-N.
MAN, Clubman. Okay. And so you mix 3/4 of the alcohol and to 1/4 of the Clubman?
Yes.
Okay. And you've been doing this for how long with Mr. Sneed?
So far as how long I've been having this hair?
Yes.
About 2 years.
Okay, and you've been using the same products on them?
Yes, I use that for everybody, just to start the club because it's a little more pricier than the 99% alcohol.
Okay. And at any point, have you had a conversation with Mr. Sneed regarding the ingredients in the items that you use?
Just through casual conversation during haircuts, because sometimes I get into people's eyes, and then by me doing the whole beard and then the whole shave, I usually do a spray, and then I do a touch up with it's like tissue paper that you use to wrap the neck. So I go around the mouth and the neck and stuff like that. So usually when people are trying to wonder what the smell is, I usually tell them what it is.
Okay, and so you spray it?
Yep, sometimes I spray the whole head, just because it's easier. And then I use tissue paper to go around the line of the beard and then the neck and the mustache.
Okay, and so that's, I'm going to presume, so the tissue paper absorbs more of it so it doesn't burn the skin?
Yes.
Okay. And then you just, do you do that around the lineup, you said around the top of the beard and then under the neck? Okay. And then, what do you do for the head? You use a spritzer?
Sometimes I use a spray. If I don't have to, because when you fade, most of the section of the hair that's bald, so it's just skin. So I usually do a spray, or sometimes I just do with the tissue paper. I just kind of go through, especially if the skin is kind of irritated.
Okay. And so did you do that for Mr. Sneed the last time you did his haircut?
Yes.
Do you recall if you used the spray or the tissue paper on his head?
Because about him getting a fade, so people who have, because can I show?
Go ahead.
He usually gets a fade up to here, so all of this is bald. So I usually go around and I spray the neck. Now, sometimes he gets irritation, and you can see some of these bumps right here. I use tissue paper.
Okay, I understand. Okay. And so do you have his next appointment scheduled?
No, he has not scheduled his next one.
Okay. And is it typically, I think you said it was a fill-in appointment. So does that mean that he didn't really have one on the books? And that it was like a last minute appointment?
Yes.
And that's typically how his appointments go?
Yeah, we usually, because a lot of times I have a cutoff for my appointments, and I usually kind of fill them in, because I have some clients who are efficient so far as when they book, and then some that kind of book a little late because of their work schedule and then kind of my schedule. So I always tell all my clients, because I have subscription clients and my personal clients, I say, hey, anytime that you need to schedule an appointment, just reach out to me and I'll try to fit you in. So I believe that it was a fill-in appointment because there was also somebody else that I was gonna cut. And so technically you can't book that time because it would be like 2 hours and 30 minutes out that window. So I just said, hey, I think this time I'll be free. I'll just come by.
Okay. And so do you have that app on your phone?
Yes.
You have your phone with you?
Yes.
Can you pull it out? I just wanted to see if you can confirm when his appointment was.
Your Honor, just preliminary, the court had asked me to print out some documents. Would you like me to hand them to you?
Yes, that's good.
The first one's actually text of the appointment.
Okay, hold on. So does it pull up when Mr. Sneed's last appointment was?
If he books through the app, yes. If I book it, I have to like go through the calendar.
Okay,
Because like it logs it, so like on the appointments, I use the app. I use the app called The Cut, so The Cut automatically shows, but when I book the appointment, the client, when they book it, and then I see it, but I have to go through something.
okay, that's fine, I'll give you the time to do that.
Is it okay if I go through my text messages to see?
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Okay, so on November 13th, I said, hey, my ETA is 8:30.
Okay, so that was a Monday, November 13th. That's yes?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And so, do you, have a name for your mixture that you call your alcohol and Clubman mixture?
I just say disinfectant or alcohol, just to make it easier, because it's part aftershave, so I really just call it just aftershave. Because I like for it to have a scent, because nobody likes the smell of just straight alcohol. So I usually do, so I would say aftershave.
Okay, and so are there any other products that you use on Mr. Sneed?
So I use my, what's the name? So I use I call it, Wet My Beard, because I make my own beard line and hair skin line, so it's Wet My Beard. Then I do my own hair hydrator spray, and then I use my oil as well.
Okay. And so, is that known as anything else, or just Wet My Beard, or?
Yep, it's called Wet My Beard, hair hydrator, and then my cocoa oil. Those are only 3 products that I use.
Okay,
Aside from the alcohol itself.
okay. Does anybody call it beard crack?
That's my cousin that calls it that, so he wouldn't know that part.
Oh, okay.
He does also, I sell all my
And is your
products.
cousin Prince?
No, no.
I'm sorry, what was that, sir?
I sell all my products, so he has, his brother buys for me, Prince had asked for some. I have different people, because he usually hooks me up with at least 3 or 4 or more people that wants to buy stuff. I use them as a candidate for beards.
Okay, okay. All right, and so Mr. Quartz, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask?
Just quickly, Your Honor, sir, to the best of your knowledge, before we were on the stand today, have I ever spoken to you?
No.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, I appreciate you coming in, sir.
Well,
Have a good day. Be careful on your travels.
thank you.
You're all set. Any reason that Mr. Varner has to stick around?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. I did learn a lot about the Barber process. All right, okay, and, counsel, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So. It's actually a very interesting process, right? And that, and I hear that the combination of the disinfectant that's put on your face, your skin, or what have you, does contain alcohol. I also heard the testimony that you've been using these products for 2 years. Yeah, you haven't tested positive for alcohol from these products before. Right? So see where I'm going with that?
This time's different because I'm on a tether. So that's scanning me 24/7.
Right. But you also have had random testing and you haven't tested positive for alcohol from the hair products. That's my point.
My haircuts probably don't line up with my random testing. Well, the tether scans 24/7.
Okay. I'm gonna let Mr. Barter know because he's still here that, whether it's beard crack or not, or whatever else there is, you can't have any products with alcohol in them.
Yeah, he knows that.
So I don't know if there's some other stuff, but I also, sir, based on the testimony of Mr. Stradley, right, even with this, I mean, no disrespect, I'm gonna say concoction, I just don't know what else to call it. It doesn't appear from the testimony that that would be what would cause that alcohol event and to go up to a 0.057.
Your Honor, my only response to that would be, he specifically said, if I remember his testimony correctly, that he wasn't able to give testimony about the ingestion or the absorption, and he also gave direct testimony that the disappearance rate would be the exact same. So I don't think that his testimony would have any relevance to if it was, and I would also just say, Your Honor, this text message was preserved in time and timestamp. It's an extreme coincidence that the time range he'd be getting a haircut would be the time for drinking, especially with his time badge for work at roughly 3 a.m. It would be an odd time to decide to drink during a haircut and preparing for work. Also, he has 2 witnesses that were with him the entire time, one that slept next to him from the haircut to his job that will testify he didn't drink. And I would say, Your Honor, that is a lot of proof that this alcohol product caused the testimony.
Okay. All right. I hear, I heard all the testimony, and if I recall what Mr. Stradley testified to is that he couldn't testify what caused, the alcohol caused the event, but how the alcohol ended up in the system, he could not testify to. That's what his testimony was. So, you are told what products you can and cannot use when you were placed on the tether.
Incorrect.
Incorrect?
Yes.
Okay, and the testimony on Monday was different.
So, Your Honor, I think he said that he may have received papers, but he may be saying that he wasn't verbally told.
He wasn't what?
Verbally told when I got my tether. Heather can testify against it. All he told me was don't ingest alcohol. Because we asked about medicine, and they said don't ingest no type of alcohol. That's all they told me.
All right, well, we're gonna go off record for just a moment. All right, so Mr. Gordon, Mr. Steen, if you wanna come back up, we're just gonna recall the matter of Anthony Steen 23270. All right, and so, anything else, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So the testimony was from Mr. Stradley on Monday that, well, I mean, are you calling your client as a witness at all?
If you'd like to hear from him, Your Honor, yes. I didn't want to overburden the point, but if you'd like, and if I want to know what would be helpful to the court, I also have his girlfriend / roommate available for testimony if you'd like to hear from her too.
Okay, and where is she?
Right here.
Oh, so she's been in the courtroom the entire time?
No, I've been in the car with him.
Hold on, ma'am. Yeah, you're not identified for the record yet. When did she come into the courtroom?
I don't have knowledge, Your Honor. I told her to stay in the car, but I believe my client texted her when you went on break, but I'd like to confirm that.
Okay, when did she come in the courtroom?
When you went to break, I texted her. Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's fine. I'll hear from her.
Okay, could you come up, ma'am?
And good morning. Your name, please?
Good morning, Heather Halstead,
Can you spell your first and last names for the record?
HEATHER HALSTEAD.
Okay, and so please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear from the testimony about to give this Mary the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I swear.
All right. And so, ma'am, how do you know Mr. Sneed?
He is a long-term family friend, and then he is also my boyfriend.
And how long has he been your boyfriend?
For about the last 2 months.
Okay. And do you reside with Mr. Sneed?
Yes, we just got a house together
And how long have you been residing with Mr. Sneed?
since the beginning of October.
So the beginning or end of October?
Beginning of October.
Okay. And do you work?
I do.
Where do you work?
I work at Edward Rose and Sons, a property management company, and I also am a server and a bartender at Carrabba's Italian Bar and Grill here in South Bay.
Okay, and so what's your schedule?
I go to Bloomfield Hills from 7:30 in the morning to about 4 or 5 p.m. And then on certain days of the week, depending on my schedule, when I get scheduled, I go to the restaurant from 5 p.m. to anywhere from 8 to 10 p.m.
and so do you recall what your schedule was on November 13th?
I do.
And what was it?
I only worked with Edward Rose, so I went to work that morning at 7:30 in the morning. I came home at 5 p.m. promptly because I left at 4, and then I was home for the rest of the night evening.
Okay, and so who else was there?
It was me, Matthew, and then our other roommate friends.
Okay.
And till TC came over to get a haircut.
Okay, and what time was that?
It was around 8:30, 8:45.
Okay, and so then what happened?
And then we were sitting there, me and Prince were in the living room watching an NBA basketball game while TC cut Matthew's hair in the kitchen. After that, we proceeded, then Matthew came and watched the game with me on the couch. And then Prince proceeded to get his haircut. And then TC wrapped up his stuff, left, and then we went to bed. Due to him having to be to work at 7:30 or 3:30, and we had to be to work at 7:30.
Okay, and so, what time did you all head to bed?
We had to bed pretty like 9:30, 10-ish. Once Prince finished his haircut, TC wrapped up and went in, so we went to bed.
And at some point, and so you were watching the basketball game?
We were.
Do you recall which basketball game?
I did not, I will say I'm a football girl, I'm not a basketball girl. They're trying to teach me, but I didn't have no knowledge. I'm trying, it's not working.
I'm a basketball, but I'm more of a football girl than a basketball girl myself, but were you and Prince having any drinks or anything?
No, I have taken, there is no alcohol out in the house.
Okay.
I even switched our mouthwash to alcohol-free mouthwash just due to his habit.
Okay. And were you with Mr. Sneed the entire time?
Yes, all day, from the time I got home to the time that he went to work the next morning.
Except when he was getting his haircut, you were in a different room.
Well, technically a different room, but it's all open, so you can still see everything.
Are there any walls that separate the rooms?
There's one tiny wall, but when you walk into our front door and it's into our living room and our kitchen, and there's a doorway right there, a tiny wall where I have our catch-all stand and our calendar, and another doorway to where the wall is probably maybe 5 foot long. But the whole time, our couch is here, the doorway is here, and Matthew was getting his cut in that doorway right there. I saw him the entire time.
Okay.
I even went in there and talked to them as well.
Okay, and so at some point, I mean, you went to bed, and so Mr. Sneed went to bed the same time you did?
Correct.
Okay, and so Mr. Quartz, any questions for Ms. Halsted?
Just one, ma'am. On November 13th, did you witness Mr. Sneed consume alcohol at all?
Not at all.
That's all I have to.
No, I can recite the game.
I'm sorry,
I can recite the game.
who was playing?
The Wizards and the Raptors. I had a bet on.
One.
So Raptors.
Okay. All right, thank you, ma'am. And so, counsel, any other witnesses? Are you having your client testify?
I would like to put my clients.
Okay, maybe you can have a seat, thank you. Sir, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear from testimony about to give this matter the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and so counsel?
Thank you, Rich. Mr. Sneed, on November 13th, at any point did you drink the alcohol?
No.
And you've heard the other witnesses' testimony, correct?
Yes.
Is everything they said true?
Yes.
And it is my understanding that you did go to work roughly at 3 in the morning, maybe 3:13 a.m.
Yes, I had an open shift that day because my senior called off.
What does that mean?
Because my senior's open shift. I'm the site manager, so I don't show up until 6. But my senior called off, so I had to open the shift and close it.
Okay.
And what is the length of your shift, sir, that day? Do you know roughly?
I left about 2:30 that day, 3 o'clock.
In the afternoon?
Yep.
So that's roughly a 12-hour shift?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Okay. Actually, I have another question for Ms. Halsted. Do you mind, counsel? Okay, Ms. Halsted. Okay, so you said that you got rid of the alcohol, you have alcohol-free mouthwash.
Yes.
Okay, and when did you begin that?
We began that after we talked to the tether people, because while we were in the tether, well, per a conversation I had with my mother about the situation, because I was the one to go get Matthew from jail and all of that, and I explained to her that we had to go to the tether station to get the 30-day alcohol tether. And she's the one that explained to me, she brought to me, she goes, if he gets sick or something like that, he can't take any NyQuil. I said, what do you mean? Like, what, because I've never experienced anything like this before, and I know Matthew never has either. So I was trying to also, maybe my mom is my confined, so I talked to her about everything, and she has past experiences with people she's helped. And she said, due to that, he can't consume anything with alcohol. And when we were at the station or the tether place, I asked them as we were leaving, because we got a paper from them, but it didn't state anything. Like, all it stated on there was who his probation officer was and the fees and the cost attached to the tether. It didn't say anything specific, and I remember telling you that. So that's when I asked the young boy there, I said, hey, per a conversation I had with my mother, she said something about like NyQuil and stuff like that. Is that true? And he said, yes, he cannot consume anything with alcohol in it. And he said, like mouthwashes, anything like that. So that's when I went home and I looked at like things that he was consuming, and it was going into his mouth and potentially into his bloodstream like that. And I got that free mouthwash. He actually did get sick, and he was sick for about a week. I even looked up alcohol-free medicines like Sudafed and stuff like that, because I was aware of him consuming stuff like that. And he actually went and taken things in case, because that's how serious he was. But that's all we were told, was that he was able to consume.
And so nobody thought that the concoction involving the alcohol for the aftershave or after the haircut,
Well,
nobody thought about that.
I'll admit, I would have thought about that. I can see where they maybe didn't, but I was unaware of what they used. It wasn't until after the fact of that he brought up the fact of we got the paperwork and that happened. He said, oh, well, TC used his stuff that has alcohol in it. I go, well, we should have maybe thought about that, but I was unaware of that. And then TC wasn't aware of the situation, so he wasn't going to think of that either. But I potentially would have thought about it. I will admit though, I maybe wouldn't have, but I wasn't aware of this product use. But we are trying everything we possibly can to do this and do everything correctly. But like I said, we were told consumption. We weren't told anything about applying or anything like that. We were told consumption. And then once we saw about the applying, that's when we stopped. He stopped using deodorant, our lotions. Actually, I did have deodorant for a while anyway, because we had to go to the store. That's when we went to buy more. We make sure absolutely nothing had alcohol in it, since we were now notified of this.
Okay. All right, anything else, council?
No, no.
All right, thank you. You're welcome. Okay. And so, Mr. Sneed, you've had the alcohol tether on since what date?
The 10th, that Friday I got out of jail. Then I got my haircut on that Monday.
All right. After hearing testimony from Mr. Stradley, Mr. Barner, Ms. Halstead, and Mr. Sneed, the court, there's no doubt that there was alcohol in your system. How that alcohol got there, Mr. Stradley indicated he couldn't testify as to how that got there. However, there was alcohol in your system, and you're not to have any alcohol in your system. You also have had these haircuts going on for a couple of years now, and you haven't, other than the matter by which you were in jail for your probation violation hearing, you didn't test positive for alcohol any other time. And I understand that there may be a difference between the tether and the testing. The testimony was not conclusive as to whether or not it was consumed orally or if it ended up in your system through absorption. What is clear is that the event began at 9:24 p.m. Well, as of 9:24 p.m., it was still zeros. you had your haircut at 8:30. Mr. Prince, your roommate, had his hair done after yours, and that you and Ms. Halstead went to bed 9:30, 10 o'clock. Then the highest level, the peak of 0.057 was 11:27 p.m. So it's continuing to rise. And it doesn't sound, based on the testimony, that there's a significant amount of alcohol going on your skin. While yes, it's being directly applied to your skin, it doesn't appear, it's not pure alcohol. And while it's sprayed in the small spot as to what your barber showed, that coupled with the tissue that was applied doesn't seem to be, it doesn't appear, and counsel, you're aware that the burden of proof is by preponderance of the evidence. It doesn't appear as though that was enough to absorb into your system and output a 0.057 reading on the tether. And then the zero is back at 3 o'clock. Now, I understand that there's testimony that you weren't drinking anything. At the end of the day, you had the alcohol in your system. Maybe I'm incorrect, but it doesn't appear, based on the testimony and what I'm reviewing with the absorption rate, the elimination rate, that, and what the testimony was regarding the disinfectant that's applied, that would be a significant enough level, bless you, to then absorb and result in an output of 0.057 on the tether. So here's what the court is going to order for its sentencing.
If you look, main ingredient in the alcohol beverage and the Clubman lotion that he uses is ethanol. That's the number one ingredient in both of them, and it's the strongest ingredient.
Right,
So they
and
might
the
have the same
Clubman is only 25% of that ingredient.
But it still holds ethanol in it, as an alcohol beverage does as well.
I understand that, but your argument that because an alcoholic beverage has the ethanol in it, and so is the Clubman, that's the main ingredient. The testimony was that there was only a quarter of that utilized in the disinfecting component that is sprayed on you. I understand that there's alcohol also. I understand that, but the statement that your client made was the ethanol.
Yes, ma'am.
The court is going to adopt the recommendation in part. The court's going to order you to continue probation. The court's going to order 30 days jail. I'm going to suspend that jail, sir. We're going to do a jail review, and I'm going to extend your tether. So we're going to do a jail review February 12th. Does that date work for you, counsel?
Yes, ma'am.
At 8:30 a.m. And then the tether will be extended until January 3rd. Any questions?
No, Your Honor. No, thank you very much, Your Honor. Actually, I have one.
Yes.
So you say jail review, it pushes it to the 12th. So do I just gotta stay clean on this until the January 3rd?
What does that mean?
Like, what do you mean by jail review?
So you're still on probation, so you
Yeah.
still have all your conditions that you need to fulfill on probation and that you need to comply with.
Mhm.
You also, in addition to that, there's a jail review that this court's going to hold on February 12th. If there's any, I'm just giving you fair warning, sir. Any violation of any term of your probation, any positive reading on your tether, you're serving that 30 days.
Okay, that's all.
So, Mr. Varner, Varner, knows that he has to do something different on you, unless he wants to see you go to jail, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But I also, sir, just let's be very clear on this. I do not believe that that is why your tether reading was a 0.057.
Yes, sure.
So, we'll see if you can go the next 6 weeks without using any alcohol.
Yes, sure.
All right, have a seat over probation and somebody will be with you shortly. All
Thank you.
right, have a good day.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
You have got to be kidding me. What is going on today? This is a joke. This is a joke. Today is a joke. We need an interpreter.
I need an interpreter when I cannot express myself sometimes.
Oh my God, sir, put that cigarette out. I don't give a crap that you are outside of this. What is wrong with everybody today? You know what, Miss Green, we're gonna start bringing people in. People gonna learn how to act in a courtroom.
Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Ma'am? Ma'am? Can you hear it?
No, I know.
Okay.
I have no patience for that. But trust me, out of the day, I'm sitting up here, I'm the one that needs the drink.